Excellent. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is our first Constituent Identity Access Management webinar. This is sponsored by us, being LoginRadius, and also ComSource, our partner. And I first want to definitely thank Bill very much. Bill, thank you very much for helping us with this. We really do appreciate it. This is, I don't want this to be like a typical webinar where all of a sudden you log in, there's just a bunch of information getting thrown at you. What we like to try to do is as much as we want to educate and teach everyone what we can do for constituents in the municipalities, we also want to learn, right? So we want to learn what's going on in the municipality space and some issues that you may be having with customer identity access management, or in this case, I'm calling it constituent identity access management. So if you do have any questions, or if you want to contribute, or if you have a specific challenge that you would like to hear about, please feel free to raise your hand. And then what we'll do is we'll just unmute you and then let you ask the question. So I'd like to introduce Bill Boudreau. Bill is going to be doing most of the speaking in terms of talking about what's going on, what some of the challenges that he had as a municipality, and then how that got corrected. Phil Gadsden is also on the call. Phil is the Vice President of Sales from ComSource, and at the end is a slide that he can talk a little bit more about what's going on with ComSource. I'd also like to introduce Daniel Sperling. Daniel is an account executive here at LoginRadius. Also Carl Wittig. Carl is our Vice President of Customer Success, and Carl will be giving a little examples of some of the things we did with other municipalities, and perhaps maybe a demo if we have time to do that. The purpose of this isn't to do a demo, but if we do have some time and someone has a question, maybe we can show a little bit. Also want to thank Myra Pacheco without her, this definitely would not have happened. So thank you very much, Myra, for that. And also want to introduce Cooper. Cooper is an account executive who's been here for a long time, and he's very, very knowledgeable, and he also has done a lot of business with the municipalities. So thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you for everyone for participating, and also thank you so much, Myra, for helping me get this going. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to turn it over to Bill, and Bill's just going to, like I said, he's going to go through what was going on with the city of Rochester when they had some constituency issues, and then he'll take you through how he did that, and then also some of the challenges he had and how he corrected that. And again, if you have any questions, this is, again, I don't like formal things. I like things kind of informal. So if you do have a question to Bill, please feel free to just raise your hand, and then we'll take it from there. All right. So there you go, Bill. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me just fine. Again, Bill Boudreau, Chief Technology Officer for the City of Rochester. So almost 3 years ago now, if I'm correct, and executives at LoginRadius can look that up, but it's irrelevant. We were faced with the problem of, as it says there, constituent branding, or one-stop shopping for our constituents to, what do I do about a trash problem? How do I get a permit? Have my taxes been paid? Any number of things that people do in a city that they want to know about that are issues. We had no single sign-on. We had no way for them to track everything in one place, no one-stop shop. So it was, as it says there, kind of mundane or taxing on anybody to say, I got to create an account every time I want to do something. So a lot of times when you're faced with that, let's face it, you won't even raise an issue if you know, well, that's the 6th account I've had to create. I'm just done. I don't want to do this anymore. All segmented, as it says there. No self-service at all. I mean, you had to call 311 back to find out if a ticket was addressed. You had to log back in to take a look to see if anything happened with the ticket. And if not, you had to try to send another one in to find out if something had been addressed. So no self-service, no trust, lack of trust and security, no single sign-on, no anything like that where, you've created this account, we verified you, we can do MFA, make sure it's you each time. So those in and of themselves were many of the challenges that, for a city especially, I don't know how everybody else sees it, but one of the things that's really tough these days, especially in Rochester at City Hall, is finding a place to park, let alone go there to find out something. Everything is done on mobile devices these days. How do I make a complaint? How do I say the guy next door's dog doesn't start barking? How do I do any of these things, and without everything that's on this slide in one place to make it easy on people, they won't do these things. They won't do them regularly. You'll get bad feedback. You know, the mayor and everybody will be like, they're not doing anything to help the constituents. So for me, from the IT side, this was large for us to be able to add all this in, and to the point now where we won't introduce new things to the city that LoginRadius can't be used for the sign-on for the constituent. So there's that slide in a nutshell.
So, Bill, before you move on, quick
Yeah.
question. So, by having those kinds of concerns and those kinds of issues that the constituents had, was any of that stuff brought to the mayor or to a higher level that people were complaining about and said, let's fix this? Or like, who drove it basically to say, hey, we need to do something about this?
It had been an issue for years across the city. There was no one person. The prior mayor, Tamara Evans, was like, yeah, we need it. It was talked about, but it was never acted on. I'm the first one to come along to finally act on it. But yeah, it had been an ongoing issue for about 10 years.
Is that a common thing that happens with the cities that, you know,
Oh,
issues?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quick question to our other municipality people here. Are you having similar issues, or are there any other issues that you're having that you don't see up here? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? The capital of New York is Bueller? Anyone?
I think we hit on the issues then, didn't we?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious to see how it gets, because it's different than a business, right?
Oh, yeah.
When it's a business and there's a problem, there's usually a person responsible for marketing or something, you know, or revenue, and comes back and says, hey, you know, what's going on here? We need to fix this problem. When it comes to, you know, the cities and stuff, if it's not an issue that's going to affect someone's at a higher level, like to be elected again, right? What do they really focus on? A lot of times, and you nailed it too, like me as a constituent in a particular neighborhood, if I have to go down there every time to do something and there's no place to park, or even cost me money to park, right? It costs me money to park. Or in certain cities, it might not be as safe to park, right? So you have to park in the street or whatever. It's a little more, you know, you might get a ticket. It could be a whole bunch of things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So I'm just curious, like how does it get to the point where it's a problem enough that it doesn't take 10 years to say, let's do something about this?
I think you're right. It has to reach the upper level, the executive, the city council, the mayor, to say, all my constituents, it's the number 1, 2, or 3 item is, we need a single point of reference for all the things going on at City Hall that we may or may not need to know about. Once it reaches that level, then IT will get involved. And let's face it, it has been a godsend to have this one-stop rock LoginRadius single sign-on for us. So
excellent. Well, I'm gonna write that down as a quote. Godsend for login.
this is only an avatar, an AI. This isn't really built, but anyway, yeah. So yeah. So as I just said, one-stop rock. Truly one-stop. You fill in your info, who you are, where you live, all that. That becomes your login for anything else. Dog license, complaint, permit, code of certificate of occupancy. I want to look at a marriage license. I want everything to do with the city. Then becomes that one-stop rock account through LoginRadius. It centralizes the user data. Everything they do now is under one account, and it branches out. So you can see, you know, here's a person. Look, this person is called in every month. Their trash can gets trashed. We got to do something. You know, they've called in 12 times. You know, you get this centralized, you can share data across things and look, as it says, unified account creation. One account for everybody, not this one's different from, because you know how it is. When every website you go to is a little different what they want from you. This is the same across every constituent. We ask for the same stuff. Yeah, one login convenience, email for sign up. There you go. And then it strengthens the security more than anything. This can prevent spamming. It can prevent security things. Like, it keeps us safe from breaches. Multi-factor is introduced, you know, text to the phone, whatever. All these things, having that in one place under one solution, which, by the way, when we decided on LoginRadius, we evaluated, I believe, 4 top of the line different solutions. My senior architect did his homework. He came to me with, I want to use LoginRadius. He told me why. He showed it to me. Not only did we settle on them for what I view now are the right reasons, they made it very easy for us to customize a couple of sign-ins we need. One with a vendor. I won't name other names, but we had to do a single sign-on with a Department of Recreation and Human Services program that they use, which was very challenging. The vendor did not want to lend a hand at all. So LoginRadius took up the brunt of the work, and it gave us a professional services price, which was very attractive to make that happen. So they've been a great partner. They work with us monthly on what's new, what are we doing wrong, what are we doing right. I believe last I looked, we have 18,000 constituents registered through LoginRadius. So
nice. And at the higher level, at the mayor level, again, the person who drove this, did they see value in this? What benefit did they get out of it?
Benefit for them is, so the council members aren't getting the complaints from constituents, and if they get one, they can point them to LoginRadius and One Stop Rock. That's quieted. Having a single place to look at things has quieted, and now it's allowing us to expand and offer more services because we have the one account, which can tie into the other services we offer through APIs and such. So it's really helped in that regard.
Was there any need to have that progressive information about your constituents? Like you start out maybe simple, just username, password, anything else along the way, or is it just whatever you got in the beginning?
I think we did. I add in a couple of items as we go. We try to keep the PII to a very minimum. As you know, we don't want to be storing loads of information that becomes then an issue from, well, why are you storing information? We try to keep it as basic as possible. So.
Excellent. Excellent. And any questions for Bill? All right, next slide, Daniel. So before we talk about this, I just want to introduce Carl. Carl, I think, is our Vice President of Customer Success, and Carl was responsible for making sure that Bill and his team were successfully implemented, right, with the assistance and the professional services. So Carl is extremely valuable to us and also to our clients, and he also has a great background on some of the value that we've added to other municipalities. So we're just going to give you a couple of examples with one of the cities that we work with, the city of Surrey. Or did I pronounce that correctly? Or is it Surrey?
Nope, Surrey.
Surrey.
It's a local Vancouver area where I'm based out of here. They're actually one of our first municipalities with LoginRadius. So we've really worked closely with them to build out and feature some of these use cases. There's a great case study we did with them. If you want to check that out later, it's available on our website. But they experienced many of the same challenges that Bill was talking about. Complex workflows. These workflows vary from application to application. Oftentimes with municipalities, you're dealing with a little bit more legacy applications. Maybe things haven't been refreshed in 10 or 20 years. And so they don't always support some of those easy protocols, things like SAML and FedSSO and things like that to make those connections easy. So those things are challenging to ensure that you have that consistent experience. And it often does require a very niche skill set and knowledge base, and especially smaller municipalities may just not have some of that dedicated resources. The second one was integration hurdles. So again, dealing with legacy applications, dealing with very specialized knowledge, and then having those development resources in-house that maybe are focused on your city application use cases, whether that's Drupal or other platforms. They may not be focused on things like identity, on security best practices, on how we can tie these two different systems together. And then finally, knowledge constraints, laying into what I was just talking about there. Having a lack of experience with upcoming protocols. So the industry changes day to day with privacy protocols and new regulations and new systems. Oftentimes it's varied from country to country and region to region. We bring all that knowledge when we come to a project. So not only do you have an extensive set of LoginRadius knowledge on how we do things, but also in general CIAM knowledge, privacy compliance knowledge. Really, we bring as many tool sets as we can to your team and work as an extension of your team. Yeah, so similar challenges to what Bill was talking about previously. If you can go to the next slide.
Before you do that, Carl, I just wanted to say the city of Surrey was one of the benchmarks that we looked at that helped us make our decision. So,
yeah, I'll address that question in a moment. So for how we helped Surrey to accomplish that. So we work closely with them from the start of the project. Like we do with all of our customers, we really take a more bespoke approach to our implementations. We want to sit down, understand your use cases. Now, municipality use cases are very similar when we go what we've done with the one-stop rock, with my Surrey, with various other municipalities are very much similar use cases. And so what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll understand some of those bespoke requirements, what systems you want to connect to, what requirements you have around front-end designs, workflows. When and where possible, we'll bring in our resources to supplement your team. In the case of City of Surrey, we managed, they leverage one of our hosted pages. And so in that, we manage that development for them. They want changes on that, they come to us. We've done the similar with the one-stop rock and the initial setup. I'm getting some of those initial interfaces in place. So where we can kind of lend some of our tool sets and resources, maybe make it more efficient for your teams, we do that. And then we also do those bespoke training sessions where we're focused on your use cases. We're not training you on the entire platform. We're focused on the workflows and systems that are important to your use cases. And then over time, we can expand it and elaborate on those. Our pre-built solutions really give you quick and easy methods to get up and running quickly. Now, you can get very granular where we're an API-based company, so everything you can do via API calls as well, but we have a lot of tools and resources that can make it easy. Most of the municipalities we have are using our hosted pages, and if we have time for a demo, I can show you how those look, but those are essentially a day one experience at LoginRadius, fully customizable, bring it in line with your look and feel of your brand. But day one, something out of the box that's ready to go that gives you that centralized login hub. Now you can use that login hub to start tying into our pre-built connectors for common frameworks. If you're dealing with many common, like modern platforms, they're going to support something like SAML or OAuth or OIDC. Making those connections is a 10 or 15-minute task in the admin console to associate your LoginRadius accounts with a single sign-on session through one of those protocols. So it's quite quick and easy to set up if they do support those protocols. Now, if they don't, we have pre-built protocols for a lot of different systems that are non-standardized. So one of the main ones that we've worked with the City of Surrey and many municipalities, including Rock, was Explore Perfect Mind. They're a Parks and Rec application. Traditionally, and they've started to improve some of the modern approach, but traditionally they didn't support like a SAML or a Fed SSO. So we built out a bespoke single sign-on connector, leveraging their APIs to generate that session. So one of the things we pride ourselves on is if there's a way to provide that single sign-on, we can support it. The only time that we cannot support it is if that downstream application doesn't provide any functionality to do that. And then seamless integrations. So not only for that federated SSO, but we support data connectors. What we want to be is that centralized repository for your identity information. Once it gets into that centralized repository, we understand that you may need it for newsletters, you may need it for your CRM, you may need it for your tax application. 50 different applications may require that information. So we have connectors and automations that can help distribute that data to the relevant systems and give you a lot of control over that. Yeah.
Perfect. Any questions for Carl before I just do a quick introduction to LoginRadius and a bit more about customer identity in general?
Not a question, but Perfect Mind was the system we're using today that, Carl, thank you so much. Had no way to do single sign-on, and you solved that for us, so thank you.
There was a question called, did you see that? It seemed more like an internal question.
Account creation deletion, is it driven by HR from your ERP system or IT? So for, I believe, Shiba, are you asking about like internal admins? So if you're creating like an admin user for your LoginRadius account, is that something that's HR created or IT created? Is that your question? Yeah. So we support a number of ways. We have our internal account management system where like a LoginRadius account owner can log in and create a username and password. We also support tying it into your IAM system. So if you're using Microsoft AD or something like that for your internal identity management, you can make that association so those internal admin users can log in through your IAM system. So yeah, they can be manually provisioned by HR, by the LoginRadius team, by your IT team. It's self-serve dashboard-driven tool sets that your admins can use to add new users.
Perfect. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, just to give a very brief introduction to LoginRadius, kind of the focus is more on the challenges that different municipalities and constituents face, but at a broad level, we support a number of different municipalities across Canada and the US. Squamish, City of Surrey, Delta, those are in the Greater Vancouver area, and of course, City of Rochester, among others. Just actually giving a brief definition of what LoginRadius is and what we support. So we are a customer identity and access management solution, meaning we manage identities. And our goal is to really drive a modernized customer login and authentication experience. And in regards to municipalities in general, what we do well is we're able to integrate with a number of different third-party applications, systems, and civic engagement platforms, with the goal to really allow citizens to access the resources they need when they need it, and make sure that this is a really frictionless process. And if we have time, Carl will go through a demo to kind of give you a high level of how we help City of Surrey and how this relates to that. We're a global company, over 3,000 customers. For municipalities in general, typically we've helped, or we've been more positioned in North America and Canada, Western Canada, as well as the US, but we have hosting centers across the globe, and we're able to support customers there. And we've been recognized by industry leaders such as Forrester, Gartner, most recently by KuppingerCole, where they really applaud the versatility of LoginRadius, our ability to maintain 100% system availability, allow for quick deployment, uptime, and just overall performance. Yeah, I just want to introduce now quickly next Phil Gatson.
Daniel, again, before we get to Phil, because we do have time, what I'd like to do is if Carl, we could do a quick demo of what we've done. We definitely have time, so we'll summarize everything at the end. But this is a good opportunity right now for us just to show exactly how this works.
Myra, you may need to grant me access to share my screen.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll give you that access.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And then
There you go.
music.
Great. So I'll just maybe take 5 or 10 minutes and just fly through a couple of quick use cases and kind of how we work in general. So I pulled up the City of Surrey's website just to kind of highlight their use case. It's a very standard kind of workflow that we see across municipalities. So they have their main Drupal page here, and then they have a number of online services. So they have a number of ways you can get to those online services. You can go and choose from them right on your landing pages. You can go over to your online services pages. And then depending on the service you're looking to do, they may have different authentication workflows. So one of the ones is just a standard authentication where they display that hosted LoginRadius page directly into an iframe. So if you want to see what this page looks like kind of day one, here's an example of it. So you can see this is kind of day one look and feel of that hosted page, and then how far you can take that as far as customizations go. So here's that same hosted page, which has been customized. We did a lot of the front end work for them, but it's essentially a customized version of our hosted page, just leveraging HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and they have all those built-in workflows and systems. It's something that also supports an after login experience. So after I logged in, there's also a hosted profile page. Again, they've taken this and customized it. You'll see specific conditional things. If they have a Parks and Rec account, they have some linkage there. But you can do all sorts of common actions, including all of their preference management with their email services. So this is all connected directly into their marketing provider, Uppany. So when you choose an email service here, it's going to start subscribe you to that specific list. Now, this is they also support different workflows depending on the application. So the Parks and Rec one, it's a pretty common one where it's actually going to redirect you over to that hosted page. It's going to check and see if you're logged in. If you are logged in, it's going to automatically forward you on down to the downstream application. Now, my test account is a little bit messed up because I have been actively testing with it. And so the connection doesn't work to the downstream application. But at this point, it would normally redirect you on. Now, how that's handled, we have the LoginRadius admin console, which we've mentioned, but all of the systems and settings are structured to be self-service. So you can definitely come in and make any changes or do anything you want, whether it's something as easy as I want to remove a field from my registration form. So you can see the default registration form has hometown. I want to remove that. You can do that here. And then when I refresh this page, it's automatically removed from that registration form. So it's easy to update some of those forms. You can do things like conditional access and conditional data polling. So that's something we do in the case of Perfect Mind, where and I believe we do the same thing with Rock, is for a standard registration, we ask very minimal information. So maybe first name, last name, email address. But Perfect Mind also requires your physical address and your phone number. So if you're registering through a Perfect Mind workflow and we don't already have that information on file for you, then we're going to prompt that the first time you go to log into Perfect Mind. So some of that conditional access, everything is fully customizable from the admin console down to the email templates and the systems. We've been talking about federated SSO, so easy to set up. Again, self-service, add an app, make that connection, and you're set up and ready to go. Those bespoke connectors that we have, BigCommerce, Perfect Mind, again, you add some specific credentials and that makes that association and you're ready to go. So we try to make it as self-service as possible. I do just want to spend 2 seconds on our hosted page as well. This is that page where you can select from one of our predefined themes. Once you select the theme, you can then customize that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that's essentially what you're seeing here or here, or any of these pages. Or if you visit the One Stop Rock login page, you'll see a similar sort of experience. And finally, one of the other things that I think a lot of the cities take advantage of is our customer management panel. This is something I know the city of Surrey directly leverages for their support desk. So their support team members will have direct access to look up customers once they find a customer, to come in here and help them with different actions. So one anecdote which was provided, I think, after year 1 of working with the city of Surrey, they previously did an annual review of support tickets that they received to their help desk. And historically, they had very high volumes of something like a password, forget password or things like that. After implementing LoginRadius, that wasn't even in their top 20 or 30 types of requests. So providing those self-service workflows to your customers can have positive impacts on other teams in your department, those support teams. So now, instead of those teams handling those forgot password, reset password workflows, they're handling more complex functionality issues and things like that, and has removed the need to deal with those issues. But yeah, we're really structured for ease of access, ease of configuration and customization. But at the same time, we do support that extreme level of complexity that can occur in use cases. So while the IDX page, it comes all bundled and nice and ready to go, if you need to get down to the nitty-gritty, you do have an API that has the ability to do anything with LoginRadius. So you have full control over what and how the system behaves. Any questions on the platform in general? I mean, I can just take 5 minutes and answer a couple quick questions.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. And do we have one more slide, Dan, if you can pull it back up? And Phil, are you able to speak? Can we hear you? There you are.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, we're gonna get your
Thank you.
slide up. There, it should be coming up any second.
Excellent. Thank you to the LoginRadius team for asking ComSource to participate in this discussion about constituent identity management. It's been very helpful and educational. We have found LoginRadius to be a very easy to work with and business partner, and focused on providing customer success. And we at ComSource have worked with public sector and private sector customers for the last 35 years. And we have a great track record of bringing innovative solutions like LoginRadius to our customers. And we look forward to follow-up discussions to really bring this technology to customers like the ones on today's call, and welcome any follow-up discussion today or in the future about implementing a solution with LoginRadius. I think it'll be a great way to address the constituent needs of your customers, your taxpayers, and it's a great opportunity to work together. So thank you to the team, and great presentation today.
Thank you, Phil. Really appreciate it. And we love working with you guys. You guys are terrific. Really appreciate that. So just to summarize everything, first of all, thank you everyone for being on the call. Really do appreciate it. What we're trying to do with this, again, this is the first one we had. So what we'd like to do is Myra's going to reach out to you just a couple of days just to get some feedback on what you liked, what you didn't like about this presentation, not necessarily the product or what we're doing. It's just about what we're doing here. Because what I'd like to see happen is over the next couple of years, we're going to do it like a quarterly basis to kind of do more that we can for municipalities, right? In terms of like a CIAM user group, if you will, where we could just get together and discuss different kinds of challenges and problems. And we might not be able to solve some of those problems that come up. If it's CIAM, yes. If it's something else, it might not be. But I'd like to continue to do that. And we can get different speakers, or someone has a specific challenge. I can, arrange all that kind of stuff. And I've done this before, and it really does help open up a community of people that are in your like space to be able to speak to each other about issues and concerns. And we'd like to be able to do that moving forward. So we'll reach out to you on that. The other thing too is we're not just for municipalities. I want everybody to know that, right? We're focusing specifically on this just because I love Bill. I think Bill is terrific. I just met him a couple of months ago, and him and I hit it off. And when he was telling me the value that we provided there, I said, you know what? I think we should share this with others, and see who else has those kinds of issues and concerns, to see how we can do that. But we do a lot more, like media, utilities, all different kinds of businesses out there that we can help. So thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate this. If anybody does have a question, I should just one more time, if anybody has any questions before we go. No? Excellent. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
I really do appreciate this, Phil. And I just wanted to say thanks, Will. And again, we'll reach out to you just to see if you do have any specific issues with your CIAM today, and you would like us to kind of have a more one-on-one meeting with you, we could definitely set that up. If there's anything going on that you need, sourcing, or if you need something in terms of, your security and networking, all the stuff that Phil can provide, please reach out to him and his team to be able to see if they can help you with that stuff. They've been doing this for a long time and they're great at it. Okay.
Yeah, and Kevin, for all those people apparently on the call who know me, feel free to reach out to me with questions also.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you.
Bye now.
Happy 4/11. Tax day is coming up for most of us in the U.S. today. So I just got hit with a huge tax bill. So
There you go.
I'm coming to Canada. I'm not paying my bills. I'm coming to Canada.
I don't want to see our taxes in Canada.
Oh, I hear you. All right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it, and have a great day.
Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.